Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on Kate Mama on my page. I am able to go live, and I have had a topic that I wanted to talk about for a really long time, and that topic is child support. So I'm going to share um, some of my some of my story. I even have notes, so that's what you see me looking down. I am pulling them up for me to stay on task because this is clearly something we could talk about all day. But I'm going to talk about understanding child support, talking about the fears, the myths, all these things that I have heard about. And I'm going to keep it real because that's what I do. First, make sure that you like and subscribe, please. I share all kinds of content. I already have some content up, I think like 44 videos, 45 videos, something like that on my page. I'm building a platform where you have a place to talk about the real when it comes to parenting. That's what Uncape Mama is all about. Taking the cape off, stop trying to be perfect, stop trying to be carefully curated, and let's just be. I am Dom. I'm a mom of two. I have toddlers. I'm a single parent. I'm co-parenting. This is not what I had planned. This is not actually how I thought things would be. And this is how they are. And I am not ashamed of any of that. So I am pulling up my notes real quick so we can chat about child support. So let's get to it. Child support. If you were here and you were alive, tell me where you're joining from. Tell me things that you've heard about child support, even if you listen to the replay. Just like tell me what are the common things that you hear about child support. I have heard a lot. Okay, a lot. When it comes to child support, I heard a lot before I even became a mom. A lot of times, stories of how child support has ruined folks' lives, or how it's a scam, or we hear about like celebrities and how much they're paying in child support. And I remember being like, okay, Dr. Dre paying, X thousands in child support. That kind of makes sense because of how much money he makes. Like the average person is not paying that much, right, in child support because you don't make as much as Dr. Dre. You're not worth as much as Dr. Dre. This is also connected to sometimes it's connected to like alimony and divorce, and that is like different, right? So I'm like, I feel like there's some nuance here. And I feel like the point of this is to help make sure that the child is taken care of. And even with child support dollars, it is expensive to raise a child. I feel like we all know that. If you think about like your childhood, especially your age of remembrance, like there was always something to be purchased and potentially some things that couldn't get bought that you wanted, right, as a kid that you could not get because maybe, hey, Michaela, because maybe your parents couldn't afford it, right? Or you were raised by a single parent, you were raised by a grandparent or not. Like there's just so much that goes into this whole situation. So I'm nerdy. All right, y'all will learn that about me. I don't like to come without some research so that I could tell you some background, but I'm also going to keep it real. So let's just get into it. Like I said, I received child support. It just started literally like a couple weeks ago. This came from my like the father choosing to do so, which I commend. I know actually I have a few friends who are fathers who put themselves on child support and put a custody agreement in place so that there weren't any issues, or at least to try to lessen issues. I can't say that there weren't any issues, but they did it themselves, right? And that's not often a story that we hear. But I am on it. I can tell you, hopefully it is not like breaking the bank. And my child's father will tell you, like, she doesn't even really care about the money, but I understand that it is linked to, like in Texas where I live, it is linked to custody agreements. It's in there. So when you file and say you want to have a custody agreement, it's already in there. You sign the paperwork. There's a page in there in the filings where you say you understand that as like the person who is filing this suit, because it's technically a lawsuit, the person who's filing this suit for shared custody, you understand that you will pay child support. So like, it's already there, at least in Texas. And I imagine I even shared like, I want to give him credit for things that he did provide, right? Like I don't want to go, all the way back and say he did nothing. There were things that he provided, and I wanted to give him credit, and I made sure that, and I kind of over credited him. Like, let me over credit him because I don't remember the exact amount. Like I had most of the exact amounts when it came to Zelle payments and things like that, but I'm like, there was some other stuff that like he dropped off and purchased and family sent and whatever. Like, let me just give credit for that. What matters now is like that my child gets to have a relationship with his father, that I get over like, right, the things that kind of hurt me with him, and like de-center myself and center my child, and allow his father the opportunity to be in his life. And honestly, it's going well, way better like than I expected. It is not, I can't say there haven't been bumps in the road. Like, I would be lying, because you're learning how to communicate, and there's a child at the center, right? But child support didn't stop us. And so like, I'm literally here to explain child support, talk about how it supports the child's well-being, and also get into some of the messiness around it, and hopefully help somebody. You are all entitled to your own opinion. I'm never here to change anybody's mind, but I do feel like there are some people who probably want somebody to talk about this topic the way that I am. So let's get into it. Again, like I said, if you're just joining me, first of all, make sure you like and subscribe. Second, I have notes right here because it thank you, Michaela. And thank you for helping me with my makeup, girl, because I wouldn't have been able to do this without you. Like I said, I have notes here because I could talk about this probably all day in so many different ways. So if you see me looking down, that's because I got my notes right here. So what is child support? Like, what is it? Now, child support haters are going to tell you it's like ruining their lives and taking their money, and or that the baby mama's trying to use it to get her hair and nails done. Let me tell you what it is. Okay, let me tell you what its stated purpose is. And hopefully, what I actually believe most parents are actually using it for. I think we give too much, like, I don't know why my brain isn't working, but I think like sometimes we overinflate the realities of stuff. We give too much visibility to BS. I was gonna cuss, and I don't know if I can cuss on here, and I'm just now able to go live. I'm not trying to ruin that. So sometimes we give too much visibility to BS, and we overhype these like small situations where I'm not saying there isn't a parent out there who's using child support money to get their hair and nails done, but I hope that the rest of their money, like, they're likely using on the child, so it kind of balances out. Like, yeah, maybe your payment hit the same day they went and got their hair and nails done, but like they already spent the $45 on something else. You know what I'm saying? For the kid, like diapers or food or whatever. And kids eating costs a lot. Even my child with autism, who mostly has smoothies and fries and things like that, expensive, because he got to eat that at ABA therapy and everywhere else that he goes. So anyway, here is what child support is. This is the definition and the purpose from my research, okay? Child support is a legal responsibility to provide financial support for children, covering essentials like food, housing, education, and healthcare, clothing, all of those things, essentials, right? Food, housing, education, and healthcare. Now, I live in Texas, so I pulled up the Texas Family Code. So this is Texas Family Code section 154.001. And that requires parents to provide support until a child turns 18 or graduates high school, whichever comes first. That is in Texas. So this child support from whenever you start it all the way until that child graduates from high school or turns 18, whichever comes first. So this support exists to protect the child's best interest, regardless of the parents' relationship, whether y'all have a good relationship or not. This is to protect the child's best interest and have something to make sure that there is consistency in what being provided by both parents. Okay, this is what this is about. So I done told you like what it means. I even made it local, and I can tell you, at me, it goes to my child. Point blank, period. His pull-ups, his clothes, any sensory things that he needs. Money is set aside for, when it's time for him to get more smoothie ingredients, his supplements, all of those things. We also, we'll get to this later, but there's also situations where we have to provide more. Like if there's a copay that comes up, dad pays half of that, I pay half of that. Dad also buys clothes and shoes and things that he wants his son to have, which is excellent, right? He should be able to do that. And I do the same thing. We don't really like get into battles about that. Like as long as he's clothed, as long as he got socks, as long as he got shoes, I don't care where the clothes stay, right? Dad also is constantly asking, does he need anything? How is his day going? How was the doctor appointment? How was therapy, right? If he needs something else, dad is going to go get it. It's never a problem. We have not had that issue, right? Christmas came around and like dad got him a bunch of things for Christmas, right? Like that was his choice. That is what he wanted to do. I don't get in the way of that. I don't say, you bought him stuff over there, buy him stuff from my house too. That makes no sense, right? Like dad purchased what he needed outside of child support that he pays, and continues to do that. When he goes over to dad's house on the weekends, and pretty much dad can ask me whenever he wants to see him. If we don't have nothing going on, I let him go. Go spend time with your father. Like I don't want to take that from him. Dad is providing food when he's over there. He's providing his like specialized milk. He's providing his insure. He's providing his smoothie. He is providing bedding and clothing, everything else that he needs over there as well. So like we have not gotten into the situation where it's like, because I pay for child support, I'm not doing nothing else. No. Okay. The child needs to be provided for, point blank, period. Dad understands that. And like I said, dad filed the paperwork, right? Which I think is commendable. And I was already at a stage where I'm like, I had, been trying to protect my child because I did not have the greatest experience with his dad in the beginning. And so my fears were there, and I had to work through that in therapy. And just it happened to be coincidental around the same time that I was like, the same time he's filing paperwork is the same time I'm like, you know what? I should probably reach back out to him, because I don't want my child to grow up without a father like I did. That wasn't great. So that's where child support comes from. Okay. That's what it's for. So let's talk about how child support situations arise. Like I feel like this should be common sense, but I think there are situations that people will leave out. And so here are all the way, this is not even all the ways. Here are a lot of ways that people become single parents. Okay. So divorce or separation between married parents, breakups between unmarried couples, situations where people are single parents by choice, like adoption, LGBTQ plus families who may split custody arrangements, or maybe they have a donor or a surrogate agreement requiring financial support, or survivors of domestic violence or abandonment where one person is left sole custody. That these are the situations where like you can become a single parent. We also know outside of that, there are when parents pass away. This would not obviously like relate to child support because the person has passed on, but those are the other situations where a person can become a single parent. So those are the ways that child support may come up when parents are still living. Now, you have to like establish legal parentage is what they call it. And so there's acknowledgement of paternity. This is a form for unmarried parents in Texas. So before my son was born, we filled out an acknowledgement of paternity. Me and dad filled it out, signed it. That is a way for us to get that's how we were able to get his birth certificate faster, birth certificate and all those sorts of things. When you acknowledge paternity, like I know that I am this child's father. We were able to do that without a DNA test. And he is absolutely that child's father. Like there was never a question about that. And so just getting that on paper helps. If you do not have that on paper, it will come. So in establishing paternity, that is how child support happens. They want to make sure that, in the case of LGBTQ families who maybe have donors, surrogates, or other situations, that is different. There's other paperwork to be signed, but you do want to have these things on paper. Otherwise, the court is going to make it happen. They are going to establish paternity through DNA tests. If you have a question about it, you don't need to wait on nobody to get a DNA test. I literally was having this conversation with someone this morning where they're like, oh, I'm waiting on her. And I'm like, you ain't got to wait on her. Google is free. Like you can go and get a DNA test on a child if you've got a question. Ask a doctor, ask your friends. Like you got smart people around you, you know what I'm saying? Like go figure that out. You waiting on somebody is like actually probably to your detriment. Go and take a step and do it yourself to establish paternity and do what you need to do from there. Go ahead and make decisions from there once you have the information that you need to have. I can't tell you what to do, right? I can only make decisions for myself and the children that I'm responsible for. But don't wait on anybody to do that for you because it's probably going to make it more expensive and it's probably going to be much more of a headache than if you just take the steps. Now, court orders for paternity testing will happen if you are disputing parentage. So let's say if in my situation I was disputing parentage, or his father, my son's father said, I don't know if I'm the parent of that child, there will be court orders to establish DNA paternity. So, that can happen. Um, or if there's a situation where like the mom disappeared and abandoned and said child's mother, same thing. They will establish maternity. Those situations do happen. Okay. And they are not necessarily uncommon. And I think we are not telling the story correctly or accurately when we assume that there aren't any mothers on child support, or that there aren't mothers abandoning children, or that there aren't any good single fathers. Like, that is not true. And you will not hear me say that on this page. Okay. I think that there are stories in the media that give, and we hear about them a whole lot more. Those other situations do exist. I think what we need to keep at the center is the children. The children and their well-being in these situations, it is what matters at the beginning and the end of the day. Okay. So now we file for child support, and that is something that absolutely happens. And so they can seek that support legally as well. I would probably encourage you to, like, you taking care of the kid, and the parents can't maybe raise them, but they're working and and need to provide for the child, then go for it. Like, I'm not telling you not to do it, especially in a situation where you want to make sure that there is some consistency in those payments. Do it. If you can have an agreement outside of it, and I'm definitely going to talk more about this in a minute, but if you can have an agreement outside of it where you've got two trustworthy people with integrity, don't go through the court system. I'm gonna get to that in a second, though. But you can, okay? Okay, you can, if you were taking care of children and you need the arrangements. Custody arrangements for adoption and foster families transitioning to permanent care can also file for child support. Now, again, I live in Texas, so this is research I pulled from like Texas law. Um, Now, I do want to emphasize inclusivity because there's so many different situations in which people are being parented. And so this applies to all families, whether it's a grandparent, an auntie, a cousin taking care of a child, right? Or an LGBTQ plus family who maybe adopted a child or had a surrogate situation, or, traditional heterosexual families that we hear about most often, where there's a single parent, or there's a breakup of some sort, or a divorce of some sort. I will tell you that in some situations, when there is a divorce, child support is lumped into alimony and like that a divorce agreement as well. So that is not my personal experience. I think it gets a little bit more complex in those situations. And maybe I will do like a part 2 of this, and I can bring somebody on and talk about, what it looks like from their perspective as a like formerly married person, and what child support looks like, and any tips and tricks that they have for navigating those situations. But I can only speak for myself. And I also wanted to make sure that I mentioned inclusivity, because all of this is just about ensuring fairness and security for the child. Will the child have what they need? Is it fair? So, child support calculations. We hear about this a lot, and we heard about this a lot with Dr. Dre. I think there's somebody in the news right now, and I swore I was going to remember it and didn't even write it down. Some other athlete or famous person is also in the news right now. And people often project their situation onto these celebrities who are making a different amount than you are and have a different net worth than you are. Okay. I don't make 6 figures. I don't even make 6 figures, right? So I don't even know if I had to pay child support, what it would even look like. Okay. If you make less than these athletes, understand the calculations. Okay. The number is going to sound bigger, right? And if there's also a divorce involved in that, and that person also wants some alimony or some other kind of support for them, understand that the goal is to maintain a similar lifestyle. All right. So if that child doesn't go from living at one place where they had one certain lifestyle and all of a sudden everything changes. They were in all these activities and things like that when you were married, and now there's a divorce and they can't do anything. So now their activities are done, their therapies are done, the travel that they had is done. The courts are trying to maintain the lifestyle because they're keeping the child at the center of this. And I think that that's what we have to think about. So in Texas, here's how child support is calculated. According to Texas, payments are based on a percentage of the non-custodial parent's net income. Okay, so this is after taxes. It's 20% for one child, 25% for two children, 30% for three children, 35% for four children, 40% for five or more children. Okay. So for one child, 20% of your after tax income is how it's calculated. Okay. Now, there is an income gap. So Texas caps net income at 9,200 per month for support calculations, but it can exceed this for high income cases. So if you're a person, you make a lot of money, they're going to cap the net income at 9,200 per month. Okay. Now, if you make a whole bunch of money, right, you are a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, a billionaire, right, they could exceed this amount because of how high your income is. To child support, because some people lump child support, like, I pay this much in child support every month. And the thing is, there are other things and other costs that come along with parenting that may also be included. These include, I'm going to break these down one by one. So healthcare. So you and the other parent are going to determine whose healthcare is better, more affordable, includes everything, that a lot of the things that the child may need, right? So in my case, my healthcare was better and it was cheaper. So included in that is additional, like, we calculated my child's portion of the healthcare, and dad pays half of that, right? So I'm responsible for, so even though it comes out of my check, with my child support payments, I'm getting paid back half of my son's child support, or half of my son's healthcare. Now, you may decide in your situation, maybe dad's going to cover healthcare. And so if dad covers healthcare, there is no healthcare cost included in that, other than maybe you paying half of the copays as they come up. But that's not going to come included in the child support payment that you get every week, every month, however it comes. Okay. Daycare cost. If your child is in daycare, or my child has autism and he's in ABA therapy, if there was a cost to that, if my healthcare coverage did not fully cover that, right, then we may have some additional costs there. See additional payments come out for you to help support with daycare, probably half, I'm assuming. All right, so that may be in addition to what child support is. So your child support could be 20% of the cost, but what's really coming out of there might end up being 35%, right? Because there are additional costs like the healthcare, like childcare costs, or any other special needs that factor into influencing the final amount. Okay, so that's how it's determined. Now, there is a modification option, and courts allow modifications after 3 years, or if payments differ by 20% or $100 from the guidelines, right? So let's say the payments right now are $200 a month, let's just say. So it's $200 a month. That's 20% of the income for the one child. Well, let's say in 3 years, it, you know, payments differ. Maybe their income dramatically increased, or maybe their income dramatically decreased. Like, dad could come in and say, hey, I don't make as much as I do. And so now the amount is actually exceeding the 20%, or there's more than $100 difference. You can go to the court and modify it. And that's what we see a lot, where people are going back to have the modifications done, or even to recertify, and maybe the amounts change as because something changed in the income and they were able to prove it. What I will tell you is just keep records. Dad keeps records. I keep records. We keep records of everything. We share records. It ain't for beef. It's to cover ourselves. Like, they're like life and livelihood. I can't be mad at that portion of it. But when I tell you, if we could have taken a breath and had a conversation before paperwork was filed, we wouldn't have to have gone through some of the things we went through, which were stressful. It's definitely a hot topic. And I've been sitting on it. I've had it planned for weeks. And I was like, I'm not ready. And then I saw people talking about it again yesterday. And I'm like, okay, let me just go live. Let me see if, I legit was like, I don't even know if I can go live. Let me see if I can go live, and we're going to talk about it. And like I said, I'm going to give you the real. We've already went through the research, and now I'm like weaving in my personal experience, because I am tired of it. And again, I'm probably not going to change anybody's mind on any end of it, but I do want to talk about it because I've been through it and I've seen it. Hey, is this Jared? Yes, it is. Hey. Thank you for joining me. I saw your last name, so I'm like, I know who that is. So I just talked about child support, and I'm a regular ass person. Okay. You might think that I am amazing and gorgeous and beautiful. And yes, I am. I am all of that, but I do not make six figures, and I'm not a celebrity yet. I don't even know if I want to be famous. But celebrity court cases and child support be having y'all tussling in folks' comments on social media. and mad at your family, baby, come here. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. You're not a celebrity. So you are not going to be paying what somebody is asking Dr. Dre to pay or Kanye West. You don't make them. You're not even close. Like, you're not the people they talking about. And that's not me being an asshole, even though that's how it came off. You getting mad about that is a poor use of your energy. Let's dive into the celebrity cases and talk about it for like 5 minutes. And he was ordered 200,000 a month. Now, how many kids is over there? Three or four that he had with Kim, I think. And Alex Rodriguez is another one. I'm trying to be diverse here and inclusive. 115,000 a month, right? Like, you don't make that in a year. And even if you make that exact amount in a year, remember in Texas, it's only 20% of that for one child. It only goes up by 5%. And then they cap it. They said 40% is a max at 5 or more children. They're not even taking half your income for the child support portion, which is supposed to go to, remember, this goes to, I'm going all the way up to the beginning of my notes. The legal responsibility to provide financial support for children's needs, like food, housing, education, and healthcare. And remember, I just gave you the example that sometimes healthcare is an additional cost. All right. So Kanye and A-Rod's 200,000, 115,000 per month, they have a lot of money. This also came in with divorce. So the children were in a 2-parent household at one point and had a certain lifestyle. What the court is trying to do is help maintain them children's lifestyle. So private school, they probably got health care that I don't even have access to. The types of food they was eating. All right. Like, my children ain't eating crab legs and steak every day. Maybe they were. Maybe they probably had a private chef. I be cooking over here. Okay. It's me. It's me and Bojangles sometimes. Okay. And some pizza from a pizza party. Like, and I'm usually making homemade pizza. My mom is going to cook something, whatever. We are not living like them too. So no, they're not coming to my child's father for 115,000 a month or 200,000 a month. And if my child's father was making that kind of bread, we definitely not telling the government. I know I just said that live on a public platform. I know what I'm saying. You think he come into some money like that, we finna have a side agreement and be it. Because he gonna make sure that the child get what he need. And see, y'all be going too far trying to have them people that deep in your business. Listen. I guarantee you, we respect each other enough at this point in life where if it's me that take off like that and I'm like, hey, listen, my podcast done blew up. I'm really helping people out here. It done changed the game for the finances. Let's agree on what we finna set up, boy. What investments are we making for the kid? What family trips are we about to go on? He married. He don't give a shit about me like that. I don't care. I love her, by the way. She's amazing. Okay. Her daughter, they're amazing. Okay. They're part of the family now. Like, really don't play about them. And I haven't even known them that long. I really don't play about them because they don't play about my kid. He come up on some money like that. Hey, Dom, listen. Bet. Just keep taking care of your son. Take him out the country. Go expose him to some shit. Let him have the life we did not have, dude. Like, that's what we doing. What is the point of sending it over here and having it go pass through the government's hands to get? No. No. And I'm gonna have that same conversation with him. Hey, I blew up. This is the type of money I'm making now. Don't you dare take your ass to the Tarrant County Court in Texas and tell them that you want to lower anything. No, we can talk about something else. This is what y'all not doing. Do that. If you can make agreements outside of the court and you know the person's going to be consistent, do that. Now, again, in my situation, he filed the paperwork, so he had to agree to that. That's different. He understands exactly what he did, and I know lots of parents who do that, and that is admirable. Do that. But like I said, if you can stay out the court, stay out. Okay? But just remember, you're not Kanye, you're not A-Rod, you're not Dr. Dre, you're not none of these people. You're not none of these people. You're not. So they're not going to ask you to pay that much. All right. Here's why. It's because courts base the payments on income and lifestyle to ensure children maintain their accustomed quality of life. So I said that already. And the legal justification is that courts follow the principle of continuity. So they're protecting the child from drastic lifestyle changes, as I said before. So imagine that you lived in LA, right, in Calabasas, let's say, and you was taking private jets and a helicopter to, and you were in a private school and you had a nanny and you had private, tennis lessons and you were taking certain trips and vacations and your room looked like this and your house looked like this. They're trying to maintain that lifestyle for the child or as close to it as possible, right? It's never going to be exactly the same. Also, in kind of talking about two celebrity parents, it's two celebrity parents. They both got a lot of money. And so one of them had more money. What they look at as continuity is different from what continuity looks like with me and my children's fathers. Like that's different. It's just different. It is different. Also, children still should be able to have a decent household. So even if you're looking at continuity, you're like, well, at one house, they're not able to like afford certain things that they need. The child support should be able to help them be able to get the things that they need, right? Keeping child at the center. I think that's most people's preferred method. Yep. Like, yes. If you have to take it there, go there. And in a lot of situations, people got to take it there. They got to go to court. But there's other situations where you don't. And I'm telling you from my own crying. My grandma was still alive at this point. I'm crying. I'm calling her I'm like distraught because I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on. They talking about me like I'm this horrible person. I talked to him. He said the dude disrespecting me, calling me a baby mama, and he was not having it. He was like, no, you will not refer to her as that. That is my son's mother, and you will call her that. Her name is Dom or Dominique, but what you won't do is call her a baby mama. Like, he wasn't having it. We get to the first supervised visit, we talking, we like, oh, and now it's too late. Now it's too late. It's on paper. We already signed the paper. Okay, we're going to do what these people say. And honestly, we made an agreement. Like, if we have an issue with each other, we're going to talk about it. If we got an issue at all, we'll talk about it. If we're going to modify anything in this agreement, we're going to talk to each other about it. And we're just going to agree to it. And we're going to just ride this out until he's 18. Right? And if there's anything else that he needs, we will talk about it amongst each other. Because at this point, my baby deserves the best love. He just does. And he deserves the best that life has to offer him. You must walk up. Girl. She can't be on my life. Say my girl. I'm sorry. No, it's not. No, that's my shoe. It's real life over here. I'm a real mom. Okay? Like, I'm not. It's not a gimmick. Like, you ain't going to find me over here saying I lied to you about being a mother. Real mom. And your grandma don't want to be on camera. Get out. Say bye, girl. Say, see? You go back. Bye. You can't be live. And your nana doesn't want to be on camera. Get out. We talking about child support. Hold on, y'all. We talking about child support. Get out. Get out. Go get that. Say, ooh, purple. Y'all, my daughter is hilarious. And what she really would have done is got on here and told y'all, yeah, child support. And she's too, like, she know what it's talking about. Anyway, if you can do things outside of court, she does not care. I'm trying to keep her off camera. And she's like, I was born a star. I want to be on camera, Mom. I'm like, I'm trying to protect you until you are old enough to make sound decisions about being on the internet. But yeah, they're not trying to change the lifestyle of the kids. And if you can keep the kid at the center and stay out the courts, do it. And I will say there have been hiccups along the way. There have. It's only been a short amount of time. It's been 7 months maybe that we've had this agreement in place. But when we realized that like we got played, it changed a lot for me. It changed a lot about what I understood about law, about what like the role of your lawyer in that situation, especially because I knew I needed a family lawyer to help me navigate. And I do, if you need it, I definitely say don't go at it alone. But I will tell you, it was very stressful. Like, very stressful. Like when I tell you I was like crying, crying all day to my grandma, and like her helping to calm me down and supporting me through that mediation, and afterwards. And then I talked to my mom about it, and she like telling me her experience and why she never did it, and I'm like, I get it, but I didn't fill out the paperwork. He did, and all I did was say I don't know enough about family law to navigate this by myself. So let me get a lawyer. Like, I got benefits at work that help provide it. Let me do it because shit, I don't know. Like, I don't know how this stuff works, and I'll never fault myself for that. But like I said, when we were able to talk in that, I mean, I'm telling you, the first few minutes of our first supervised visit, we sat down, and it just kind of came up like naturally, and I was like, "What?" So I told him some of the stuff that was happening with me, and we was like, "Damn, we got played," and we wish we would have just talked. But you got to remember, we got history that wasn't so great. And so that's in the back of our minds, even though I had went through and done therapy and stuff and got to a place of healing. That mediation to get custody and visitation, all that was traumatic. So that's so I and they want you like that. They want you to be pitted against each other, because if y'all have beef, they get to make more money. Imagine like when you have to go back to court, you going back to your lawyer, right? Because your lawyer was there from the beginning. They want that. Like, that is extended money, and we realize that. And so I hope that we don't have to go back to court for nothing, and that we just ride. It's on paper, ride it out. But the rest of this, like, keep that child at the center, and let's keep it moving, right? So we talked about, why celebrity court cases are high. It's basically because they got money, dramatically more money than we do. And I don't think people understand just how different that is, and how different their lifestyle is, and how different maybe even their worldview is from us, right? So let's talk about fears and misconceptions. So, first fear that people have is this fear of financial strain, and that's because of the stories you hear. When you're projecting and then applying your situation based on what you heard about a celebrity, you're thinking, oh, I can't pay $200,000 a month. Well, no one's asking you to, because you don't even make that much for that to even be a calculation for you, right? But also, like, you hear these stories where you're like, oh, they're taking so much of my money, I can't live. That is likely because you have a lot of children. And so they're taking almost 50% of your income, not to mention healthcare, daycare, and anything else that maybe that the parent was able to prove. That is why your amount is so high, and that's why it's causing you financial strain. And I would say everybody needs to just keep records of what you're doing for the children, because you can go in there and defend yourself and say, here, look, I went ahead, they're already on my health care, or I always send money. Don't overpromise, and don't leave the kid hanging. Just don't don't leave your kids hanging. I say this to anybody I know in these situations, and I have been since well before I was a parent. Like, I'm talking early 20s. I'm like, just don't overpromise. Do what you can do. At the end of the day, I don't really remember money, right? I remember time. I miss my grandma because of time. Remember, as does not want to be in her life. He never did. I've talked to him once, I want to say, at least once, and I was like, oh, you are a piece of work. Like, I don't think I ever want to talk to you again. There is still this large part of me that just wanted a relationship with him. That's all. I just want some time. I want to learn about him and his family and his life. I want to meet my siblings, because he's like moved on and have more kids. Like, I want a connection with them. And I want him to see how dope of a person I am. I think I'm pretty dope. Like, right? I honestly think it's his loss. He was thinking about money. His fear was money. If my mama wanted to get money from him, it wouldn't have been difficult, bro. You're in the military and they don't play that. We could have, she could have been like, it probably would have been light work for her to do that. She didn't. She didn't. I got to know my family on his side, right? Like, I don't know what other fears and stuff he had and why he didn't want to get to know me and why it didn't work out with my mom. Like, I don't even, that's adult. shit, right? That's their stuff. I don't really care. Like, I just wanted a dad. I wanted my dad around. When he let me know, like, I think I was 19, that like that he wasn't trying to do that, and he was really just worried about money. I'm like, bro, I'm already in college. I'm halfway done. I got scholarships. I want you to know about all of that. I want you to see how nerdy I am, and like, you know, I want to know if I look like you. Like, I want to see like maybe what parts of you I got, right? Um, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that there was a fear of financial strain there, and so I get it. But just like paying parents do feel overwhelmed, but I'm gonna tell you, like the custodial parent also feels those financial strains probably even more. I feel the financial strain every day because as soon as something runs out, I'm gonna go get it. I'm not always asking dad, like when I have to go run out. Like my son ran out of pull ups yesterday at ABA therapy. I didn't call his dad, I just went to go get him. I had him DoorDash to the center so they didn't have to use their center supplies, like because I had the money. Even if I didn't have the money, I was going to figure it out because he needs them, right? I don't, every week when he needs more snacks and french fries and smoothie ingredients, I don't ask dad, I just go get it. The financial strain is always there. When he's growing, my son is growing so fast. He is so tall. We just go get some new clothes. I just go figure it out the best way that I can, right? And I let dad know, by the way, I think his feet have grown. And dad usually tells me because he's like the shoe guy. So he's like, hey, Dom, I think I his feet done grown again. I'm like, I'm not even surprised, right? He just goes to get it and he let me know. The financial strain is going to be there as a parent, point blank, period. And the custodial parent who has that child most of the time, even if y'all have like 50-50 situation, the financial strain is all around. Kids cost money. You cost money as an adult. So you know it is a child's responsibility to be taken care. Like the child has no responsibility. It's the parent's responsibility to take care of all that child's needs. And it's always going to be something. So the financial strain is going to be felt. And I understand the fear, but honestly, should have thought about that before doing everything you did to have a kid. It don't really take much to create one. Like it don't. Should have thought about that. So I understand the responsibility. My kids did not ask to be here, right? They should not feel the brunt of the responsibility of the financial strain. That's on us, the adults in the situation. And they do not have an obligation to pay me back a damn thing for upholding my responsibility as a parent on the financial side. Also, Texas guidelines had the income caps to prevent the excessive burdens. Okay, so like if the burden is there and you feel like the calculations are wrong, definitely say something, right? Especially if you have the papers on file with the court. There's also other fears and misconceptions around this misuse of funds, that the person who's receiving child support is out here spending money on trips and their nails done, their hair done. Now, look, my hair, fresh retwist, nails freshly done. I did not spend child support money on that. And as a matter of fact, it costs more than that. I did not spend my child support money on that. I waited until I got paid. Right? But even if, let's say that the child support money hit, it's all mixed up in the bank account, right? At this point, let's say that I did. Is my child still provided for? My kids look most days look better than me. Okay. They have newer clothes than I do. They have newer shoes than I do. Okay. Their hair gets done more than mine gets done. They eat significantly more than me. That's how I move. That's how I was raised. Like yes, I take care of myself and I have self-care stuff, but it is not at the detriment of them. Are the kids being taken care of? If it's a situation where the kids are not being taken care of, child support paying parent, get you some evidence and have a conversation. And if you've got to go back to court and talk about it, then do it. But I would tell you the overwhelming majority of situations, probably that is not the case. We're just giving more visibility to that kind of stuff, and you're exacerbating people's fears. You're making people more fearful that that's going to be the case. My child's father knows that's not the case. He know that. I'm not misusing funds. You ain't seen me take no exotic trips with child support money. You're not gonna see it. It's not enough. That's not me being shady. It's not enough. It ain't. I'm sorry. It's not. And the main people who be doing that, when the women or the men, the non-custodial parent, or when the custodial parent starts to talk to you about how much money it is, it'd be like $45. If you don't get the, I heard a story where it's $53. It was $53.17 they was getting a month, not a week, a month. These aren't even astonishing nails, right? This is dip powder. I tell them to cut it short. That's $42, baby. Like that twice a month. That's not, it's, I'm sorry, it's not enough. We do the math. This, this is 140. And she should be charging me more because she does a damn good job. Any other place it'd be about 200. This is my hair. These are all my locks. There's nothing extra. A wash and a retwist and a style. It's more than that. Like, come on. Come on. Southwest, I know they be saying they got $49 flights and that's how people getting around, but I live in the hub city. We ain't never got no $49 flights. So you're 53. Like, can we dead that? Can we leave that in 2024? That's likely not the case. And if you know that it is your responsibility to go improve it. If you know you're being played, I'm gonna put you on game. Had them conversations, text message, take screenshots, build a file. Try to be some steps ahead. If there is misuse of funds and your child is going without, and you know you are paying child support to make sure that your child is taken care of, and they're not being taken care of, it is your responsibility as the other parent to prove that and get your child in a better situation. Go get full custody and take care of them. Keep the child at the center. Keep the child at the center. Right? Like, that's that. Now, another fear, unfairness. Usually it feels like, oh, the formula to calculate, that's not fair. Right? Like, it's just compared to what she makes or what she's spending, it's just not fair. Where they're just going off of your income. And they're assuming that if you were in the house together, this is how much you would be contributing. And to be honest, it's not even 50-50. Well, one kid is 20%. If it gets to a place where the total amount of child support you're paying is unfair, and this is how the calculations played out. And if you feel like it's unfair, again, you can get some stuff together and prove it. Y'all, domestic violence and abandonment. And so sometimes there's fears around that. Like, people want to be protected. They don't want to have to, because in these cases, you have to kind of tell where you live and all that kind of stuff. And people are thinking about their protection and protection of their children for somebody who has been violent. And that's real. Like, that's real. And so, these payments should be helping you to provide stable household and protection for the children. Now, if you are in a different case where you're like, I don't want my child around this person at all, make sure that you have the proof as best as you can, right? Get a Google Drive folder. It's free, or Dropbox or something, and make sure you got screenshots and documentation of the text messages and stuff. And you're going to have to be diligent about uploading it immediately. In the case that person tries to break your phone or cut your phone off or whatever, like, email that stuff to yourself immediately so that you have records of it. And I say email, or some other drive, like, right, where you can upload your documentation and you constantly have your proof there so that you can prove it in those situations, right? Because if we're keeping the child at the center and keeping you at the center and making sure that you are protected, situations, you got to have that proof too. You do. And that will help you in those cases. So we're getting to the end because I want to give you some practical tips and encouragement. That's what I'm all about. I'm not on here like just to be messy and complain and, all that kind of stuff. I do want to help people because I learned a lot in my situation as it comes to child support. So if you are a paying parent, make sure you got a budget. Everybody have a budget. If you're a paying parent, have a budget effectively, and keep clear records of your payments. Just keep that, right? If you are the person receiving child support, you also need a budget and make decisions about what you're doing with that money, right? If it ends up being a little bit extra where you can, like, provide something, another activity for your child, do an activity and budget for it, right? If you can, I don't know, like switch them to a different school, or get them some different services, do it. If it allows you life insurance for your child, get it. If it allows you, um, dental insurance that maybe they weren't covered for, get it. If it allows you to have some sort of investment or savings account for them, get it. Do it. Budget it, right? So, um, also make sure you are documenting that what you're receiving. And if you don't want there to ever be any question about what you're doing with the money, show it, budget it. If it means making a separate account for the payments, or immediately transferring the money over into a separate account and paying for things out of it like that, then do it. You know your situation better than me. So all of this is about like budgeting and making sure there's clear records on both sides. If you're co-parenting, I would say, I said this earlier, like focus on collaborating and healthy communication. You want a healthy environment for the child. Do not talk shit about my child's father to him or in front of him. I never did. He doesn't to me either. I refer to his dad as dad, or I call him by his name when I'm talking to him. He's not my daddy. Right? But when I'm talking to my child about his dad, I say dad, right? Like, that's your dad. And he does the same thing over there. When he's talking about mom, he says mom or your mother or your mama or your mommy. Like mom, mommy, like dad, father, daddy, whatever. Like, right? That's how we refer to them. And I pick my battles. He having a bad day. I am realizing you having a bad day. You're not really talking to me. Okay, keep it short, right? Focus on collaboration. I try not to let my fears get in the way, right? When he's asking about something, when he's asking for an update on something, I provide him the update. I apologize if we agreed to something previously and I fell off, right? Like, I've been having issues with my back lately. And so a lot of times, like, I can't help but focus on the pain that I'm feeling in my body. And I forgot to send the daily updates like I was doing from ABA therapy. I apologize. I said, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm sending this update hella late and we in bed, but I wanted to make sure that I got you the update. I also let him know I'm having back issues. Like, I'm having back issues and I got all this going on, and he cares about me as a person, right? And my health, because I'm the mother of his child. So he like, hey, are you okay? What's going on with that? Like, let me know if I need to do something extra to support the kid while you're healing. Bet, right? Like, we're a team. We're on the same team for this baby. This child, he's 3. He's still my baby. Okay. He has extra love and I want him to have that. Right. Like, so focus on collaboration, trying to limit the conflict. There are going to be disagreements, right? There's going to be some sort of schedule challenge or whatever. Just talk about it. I've become a better communicator in this situation, right? I've become better at choosing my battles here because I'm a fixer. I care about my reputation, and what I realize matters more is my character. Like, I'll be the villain. I'm the villain in somebody's story, right? I'm not a perfect person. And now I realize I don't really care about that because for the most part, honestly, I'm not doing wrong to people. I'm not seeking out vengeance or doing wrong to people ever. And some people think I'm crazy for that. Like, the amount of things that I could expose or could talk about or whatever, I don't. Like, it makes me look crazy. So in those situations, think about that. Think about your kid. And if you have to take a step back because you're having a bad day or they need to, do that for the sake of the child and the arrangement. Also, like, Texas has resources at the Office of Attorney General. They have a website. They have payment tracking in the system. Like, you can download reports and things like that. There are also co-parenting apps. I have App Close, or maybe it's App Close. I don't know, but it's APPCLOSE. You can mark down. You can do all your communication in there. You can upload files, pictures. There's a calendar, so you can put appointments and you can put when visitation schedules are and when meetings are. There's a budget in there. You can mark off like when payments are made or what payments are pending. All of that. There are apps just like that. Use those resources. They are out there, and that app is free. Also, they told us to use App Close as well as a part of our shared custody agreement. And so sometimes it's in there. Use the app. And then if you get to a place where like you don't really have to and you can move to text message and email, okay, regardless, just keep records. Just keep records on both sides, right? Like, because it's really about the kid. Like I was already keeping records for my kids anyway. So like it wasn't anything new for me. Now I'm just sharing them, and I don't have anything to hide when it comes to the well-being of my child because that's all it is. So moving forward, I just want to remind y'all that child support is about creating like a stable, healthy future for your kid, and try to keep the beef out of it. If there is no beef, don't create none. Right? There will be some disagreements. You may have like different ideas of what to do as parenting. And I realized in my situation that there are things that dad is able to do that had, like he been able to get them routines done. I was thinking my child like was I'm like I think he's getting ready to like be potty trained, but like I was like I wasn't sure. And dad set up a structure and was like, "No, he's ready." And we started. And now we got a child with autism. He goes to that potty. He go to sleep at a certain time. He wake up at a certain time. We've gotten him more. He hates getting his teeth brushed, but he's gotten a little bit more comfortable with it, right? Dad has been able to teach me some things about like we don't lower our expectations for him, right? And so dad's been able to teach me about how he's been able to do certain things in regards to his behavior. We're still gentle. We still treat our child like a human being and with dignity, right? We don't yell at him, but he's taught me like here's the words I use and how I'm stern with him about when it's a no. Here's how we got him to like eat out of a plate because my son will play you and act like he ain't never ate out of a plate or a bowl before. He'll just dump stuff, and dad's been able to get that out of him, right? How did he wean him off of always having his cup, which was a hard one for me to break? I'm like that's my son's comfort, like just taking it from him. I can't just take it from him, but we can wean him off of it at night, right? So we start to have dry nights. He is well hydrated. We're not keeping him from, being getting his nutrients and hydration. But dad has taught me a lot. And then we're able to make sure that we're on the same page at both houses. Over here, we're doing the same things in the same routine in the same order, as close to the same timing as we can as what he does over there, right? We talk about what works or what didn't work, or we'll share funny stories back and forth. We got videos and pictures that we share, right? They took family pictures there, we took family pictures here. Like it ain't nothing weird. Like it is collaboration, and so you're making sure that it's healthy all around, and that's really the best of the situation. Like in my prayers and in my tears, even to my grandma when I was going through stuff, like I told her I just want my kid to be safe. At the end of the day, my boy needs to be safe and protected. He needs to be understood. He needs to be taken care of. That's point blank period. And that's bare minimum in my book, right? That's being done. Now we can build on that. And so I just want to remind you that's what it's about. Child support is about that. And in our society, it takes money to take care of people. It takes money to take care of you. It takes money to take care of them kids. Okay. And to get them what they need. And if you're talking about, and that's just surviving, we talk about having thriving children that have opportunities and a life better than you, it's going to require more resources. It's going to require more connection, more community, and that comes with more money, right? Like my kids are not finna tell you nothing about the projects. They don't know about that. I do. They don't know about that. If they ever, you see them out there ever talking about getting out the mud, they did not, because we're making sure that they don't. I don't. That's not any shade to that. I want them to have better than me, right? Like I just do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't want them to be assholes, right? I don't want them to look down on people. I want them to understand, right? And be accepting and understanding of other people's life and where people are at, because I also understand society. I understand that people are stuck in certain neighborhoods because of society and the way that the system is set up here. And they will know that because I'm a big advocate, like, and an activist for equity. They'll know that, right? For sure. But they're not going to come tell you that they know anything about the hood, because they don't. We live in the suburbs. Dad live in the suburbs, and so do I. We don't live that far from each other. We're about 15 minutes from each other. We in the suburbs of Dallas. They don't know about Oak Cliff, but I do, because I lived there when I first moved here. Okay? They don't know shit about South Dallas. Right? Unless we go over there to eat or like visit family or friends or whatever. And they're not going to treat them no different. Okay? Like, it takes money for that. Right? Like it does. It takes resources and exposure. I don't want my kids to be elitist or uppity or anything like that. Right? But I want them to have a different life than I had. And I'm not, I be struggling. Like financially, shit's expensive. Right? But it's not the same struggle as my grandma and my mom. right? And at the end of my grandma's life, she wasn't struggling the same way, right? She was able to keep like pushing and use the resources and community to elevate. I think we all want that. All parents will tell you they want that. If they could live a different life, they would want to, right? So yes, the resources is key, and it takes money to take care of people, point blank, period. So I want to, I hope that this helps you understand the process. I know I talked a lot about Texas. I can only talk from my perspective. So if you join late, go back to the beginning because I talked a lot about the history of child support. Like I'm nerdy, so I'm gonna give you that. The history of child support, what it's like. I even looked up laws and the statutes in Texas to help you kind of understand. I gave the calculations and the breakdown. I hope that this empowers you, that if you're in this situation, it gives you a little bit more information to just kind of navigate so you know what to do in your situation. I gave some tips and tricks, and I'm gonna tell you again, if y'all got sense, you and the other parent, okay, stay out of the system. Just make sure you do what you can do. Don't try to overpromise. Don't try to agree to no shit that you can't pay. Keep it 100. Even use the same system. If the state says we're going to calculate it at 20% of your after tax income, your net income, then you just start giving it and budget it and send it for them kids. Make sure they got health care. Determine whose health care is better. You, as a non custodial parent, pay half. Figure out what your time is going to be, when you're going to see them, and then see them. And if you have to change it because you're sick or work or you got to travel or whatever, talk about it in advance, communicate. Don't be an asshole. Don't. Keep children at the center of it. That's like the biggest thing that you can do to help yourself and save you some money. I'm still paying that lawyer off. And if I had known, if I didn't have the fears that I had, and I had very real fears, if that whole process hadn't pitted us against each other and created more fears, even more, I think we could have figured something out, and I could have saved myself $2,500. Ooh, it was more than that, over $3,000, because we had to pay for mediation. Them few hours was $650 a piece, and it was dramatic. Could have saved that money. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, if you need it, do it. If you don't, set it up using my advice here. Like it's all up and through this video. Use it. So, Texas Office of Attorney General has some support services. There's also legal aid and there's mediation. Google mediation. There are mediation that is more affordable than what I had. We found out that we had a pretty expensive person. We could have chose somebody else. We didn't know. I didn't know. We was following the system. We was following what we were told. Okay. So yes, Lauren, I'm so glad that y'all came to a mutual agreement. You agreed on all of it. And yeah, it's court enforced. Y'all did the agreement. That's perfect. We did mediation. We came to an agreement, and I feel like we could have done it without mediation. But we were afraid. There were fears on both sides. I won't take that from him. He wanted to see his child, and he potentially like maybe didn't trust that like I would have let him because of past fears. He didn't realize like, no, I was serious about keeping it out of the court. He didn't know. We hadn't really gotten to a place of talking about it. We had talked a little bit. He got to talk to him. I sent pictures. I gave him an update, right? And then he did the next, what he thought was what he was supposed to do. And I will never take that from him. He didn't know. Now we know, dang, we probably could have did that outside of court and saved ourselves the trauma and the frustration and the tears and the anger towards each other. Now I keep that at the center. I pick my battles. It ain't no battles for real. Just make sure that boy is protected and he's taken care of. And I'm gonna do the same. Like to the death of me. Like that, period. He will have better to the best of my abilities than what I had. To the best of my abilities. And he's a good boy. Good boy, so loved, right? My daughter too, good girl, so loved. They're both so smart. We pay attention to them. Hey, I think they have an interest in this. We're going to start making beats in here. I done download a garage band because I got a singer and a dancer and I got a boy that makes beats and he got the ad libs. Okay. Like what? A studio? You think my mom was going to let me and my brother have a studio? My grandma would have been like, no. I was playing that French horn. They was like, girl, please change that instrument. Change to the clarinet. I was good. We was good. Right. You want to go to college? Okay, we don't know a whole lot about it. We finna get you some resources. They modeled that for me. So now I'm like, to honor them, let me take it a step further. What can we do with them being this young? Kid strong, did it. Daughter hated it, son loved it, thrived. Right? Like, okay, I got good health care. I'm noticing I got a video coming out about autism and things I may have missed. So that's coming. My internet was not cooperating. I was doing that and then said, F it, let me just go live. But right? Like how do I get my kid the resources? I probably had anxiety and a little touch of autism my whole life. Somewhere on the spectrum, I'm certain. We didn't know. So yeah, Lauren, that one's coming. So use the resources. If you don't know, ask. If you don't have a place you can trust, you can always ask me. And I mean that. You will not be bothering me. Comment on this video or email me, uncapemama@gmail.com. Ask me, can you help me find some resources? I promise you I will help you find some resources. If you have a topic, something you want me to talk about, tell me. And if I can relate, I will. If I can bring a guest on, I will find it. So we can help. My goal is to help as many as people as possible, but also keep it real. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not I'm not building a platform like for clout. I'm not making shit up, right? Like, I'm not, this ain't a gimmick. This is my real life. You saw my very real child and my very real mom come in here earlier in the video and not give a shit about what I was doing. That's every day. Okay, so you're gonna see me with makeup and without. Today I felt like doing a little 1-2. Okay, some days you're gonna get me how you get me, frizzy locks and all. And I'm gonna get on here and tell you the truth from my perspective. So, and I want to help you. So that's that, y'all. Um, I tried to cover as many different situations in here as I could. I want you to remember everybody's household and family structure is different. Don't compare yours to theirs. Do the best that you can with what you have with your kids. Pick your battles. Okay. Understand that if you are not a celebrity and you don't make millions of dollars, just take them other cases with a grain of salt. It looks unfair to you when you see Kanye West or Alex Rodriguez paying hundreds of $1,000s a month in child support. That seems unfair to you. You're not married to them, and you don't make as much money as them, and you don't know what those kids are used to. And that's what the courts are trying to do. And a lot of times that ends up in the media is what a person asked for. That's not even what actually ends up being settled on at the end of the day, right? Like, there's a lot of nuance in these situations that we do not talk about. So this will be a place for nuance. I'm gonna research topics. I'm gonna talk about a lot of stuff. If there's other stuff you want me to talk about, like I said, drop it in the comments. I've been on here live for an hour and 13 minutes, and it felt good. Like and subscribe for more. Share this video. Come back to this video. Reference it. You can come back in here and take notes. That's why I did all the work for you. At least Texas-based. People live all over the place, but you can look up, like, you heard me talk about something, you're like, oh, I don't know. Let me check it up. Check it for my state, my county. Do that. And like I said, if you need help, let me know. I can support. But I got other videos and stuff that are shorter, and I got more things to come. Also, make sure that I also want you to like and subscribe to the Parent Porch page. It's PARENTPORCH. I'm also over there. So I'm live weekly over there. It's going to be even more than once a week starting soon. I'm working on the autism video. Lord, is going to come from the Parent Porch page, but I'm gonna figure out how to tag myself somehow. It's going to be on both pages. But I talk about a lot over there as well. It's a great place for resources. We've got a parenting bundle for all different types of parents. I would not promote it unless it also talked about single fathers and single parents and budgeting and self-care for parents and all of that. So that bundle is on that page. So make sure you like and subscribe over there on YouTube, and also follow on Instagram. It sounds like they trying to bring TikTok back. I'm over there too. I imagine something about it is going to change at some point, but I am over there. And y'all, I had a video that was starting to do numbers last night, and at 9:30 it just stopped. I was like, yeah. And by numbers, I mean, like every time I refreshed, it was like 50 more views. So not necessarily viral, but I do, I got stuff that I want to get out there. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your engagement and for finding me. Michaela, shout out to you. Make sure that y'all follow my girl Michaela. She is in the comments over here. Um, she is amazing. I went live and I realized I ain't have nothing set up to share it because I didn't even think it was going to let me go live. I didn't think I had enough subscribers. I texted her. I said, Michaela, I'm live right now. Can you share it? She said, yes. And she went and shared it. So if you found me from Michaela, I'm so grateful. I love her so much. Make sure you go and like and subscribe to her page as well. I know that she's going to be creating content, spiritual content, and just like good discussion. We also have a platform that we're building together that will come soon that I think a lot of people who love both of us will be super happy about. So we're the page exists, but I ain't finna tell y'all what it's called because ain't nothing over there. We don't have nothing. I'm just good about, I know we're going to create something. We got the email. She was like, oh, you're quick. Yeah. I created an email address and I created the page. So it will come soon. And we will tell you all about it. Our combined platform and all the randomness and fun stuff that we're going to do over lunch or something. For watching her because I didn't intend to go live this long. And I will see y'all next time.